Also on the cover of the Messenger this week, I did talk about the Brothers Wesley. Jasmine and I had the opportunity to have a day apart with the bishop on Thursday and Friday, and we had a gentleman from the upper room come and talk to us about the Wesley brothers, John and Charles. And more now in the history of United Methodist movement and Methodism and the Wesleyan theology, we understand that while John is credited with the founding of what became the United Methodist Church, that John and Charles really were a team, and you really don't have our movement as it is one without the other. Charles was the hymn writer, and so much of our theology is embedded in the hymns that we sing, those Wesleyan hymns that are so great and such an important part of our tradition. John was John. John was kind of like Peter. He was just always kind of sticking his foot in his mouth. But he had a powerful call from God. You remember the story of the Aldersgate experience, and he went very unwillingly to Aldersgate Street, where one was reading Luther's preface to the Epistle to the Romans. He wasn't even just reading Romans, he was just reading Luther's preface, what Martin Luther had to say before you got on to reading Romans. And that was where John had his heart strangely warmed. It finally occurred to me that he may have had heartburn. That our entire movement may have been because he had something bad to eat at lunch. And I made that joke, and several of my friends said that was going to get me in trouble, but I thought it was funny. John's heart was strangely warmed, and Charles had had a life-changing experience. Charles wrote hymns, and John preached and taught in the countryside, all over England, in London and Bristol, and all places in between. They served. They went to the prison at the edge of town to serve those that were in prison. They reached out to those in need. And one of the things that John Wesley is, quote, credited with saying is that as Christians, we're called to do all the good we can, by all the means we can, in all the ways we can, in all the places we can, at all the times we can, to all the people we can, as long as we ever can. And no matter who we are, we can serve. I wish we had the technology and I wish I knew where the video of this was. On the King Center website, if you go there, it's been some time before I've done this. I found this a while back, but if you go there, one of the background audio was of Martin Luther King Jr. preaching from his sermon, The Drum Major Instinct. And I don't do this justice at all. But King had this incredible way, as do such great preachers, of drawing in the congregation. You know, Jesus had a way of sucking them in, getting them just where he wanted them, then bam, coming with a totally different message from a totally different direction. This is from King's sermon. If you want to be important, wonderful. If you want to be recognized, wonderful. If you want to be great, wonderful. Can't you just imagine the people getting fired up? Who doesn't want to be important? Who doesn't want to be great? Who doesn't want to be recognized in this world where it seems as though anybody can be recognized? But recognize this, that the one who is greatest among you shall be your servant. That's the new definition of greatness. And this morning, the thing I like about it, by giving that definition of greatness, it means that everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to be able to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You don't have to know about Plato or Aristotle to serve. You don't have to know Einstein's theory of relativity to serve. I'm grateful for this next one because this is part of the reason I'm a preacher. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics and physics to serve. I can tell that story another day. Physics about killed me. And then Old Testament about killed me in seminary, but You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love, and you can be a servant. You know what blows me away at Atlanta First? Most often, the people that we serve among us and with us. Many of those that we serve in this community, after we get done on Sunday mornings, they come and help us get ready for Sunday nights. Some of the gentlemen and women that I see at Safe House, I'll see around the church helping us out. Some of the folks that we serve turn around and serve us. And it's all relative. There's always someone with greater need than our own, no matter what level we might find ourselves. We have been called to serve. We have been called to serve with integrity and with excellence. What that means is when we go to serve, that we are fully prepared to meet the needs of those that we're going to serve. That requires that we have a level of commitment to what we're doing. That means that we can't just get by. That means that we can't just hope and pray. I think I may have shared this with you, but it's my favorite story. It's the best illustration I know about faith in our role in what we do. Just over a year ago, we had the floods that came through Atlanta. And they were devastating. People lost their homes. If you read in the paper this weekend, you know that several homes near where Shannon and I have bought a house, ours is on higher ground, but several homes near along Peachtree Battle were condemned and will be razed, and that property will be just left in a floodplain. But it always reminds me of the story of the floods and the two gentlemen that are sitting on their porch. And a bus comes by, and the gentlemen in the bus say, you know, the floods are coming, the waters are coming this way, and you need to get in the bus and come with us so that we can take you to higher ground in safety. Two men sitting in the rocking chair said, no. We've prayed, and God is going to save us from this disaster. A couple hours later, the floodwaters have come, just as the men said, and now these two men are on the second floor balcony, and a boat comes floating by. And the rescue workers in the boat say, now, the floods are rising and there's no end in sight to their rising. We see not where the crest will be. You need to get in the boat and come with us. No. We have prayed and God is going to save us. Finally, the two men have climbed out onto the roof of this house. They're standing on the chimney when a helicopter comes by and lowers a ladder to them and says, get in the helicopter. You're getting ready to be washed away. And they said, no, we believe that God is going to save us. The floodwaters came. The men were overcome. They died. They went to heaven. And you'll know that they wanted immediately to have an audience with God. God, we had faith. Everybody that came by, we shared our faith in you with them and others, yet you allowed us to drown. And God said, I sent you a bus, a boat, and a helicopter. What else did you want? Sometimes faith means looking in front of our eyes and seeing the gifts that God has given us, being good stewards of those gifts and using them in a way that helps others. Faith and works go hand in hand in serving with integrity and excellence. This morning as you came in, you received a card. I want you to pull out that card right now. One of the things that we're going to be committed to is making sure that everyone has an opportunity to serve and that everybody commits to serving. Next month, we'll kick off our stewardship campaign, and we'll talk about how we're going to financially support the mission and ministry of Atlanta First United Methodist Church. It's probably not a good thing to tell you we're going to be preaching about money next month. Attendance may go down, but that's what we're going to be talking about next month, along with other things. But today, this month, we've been leading up to how is it that we're going to use our human capital, our gifts of service in the mission and ministry of Atlanta First United Methodist Church. As it stands right now, we have some options on there. Those are just the minimum. Our service at the City of Refuge and Safe House, Hospitality House, the Metro State Women's Prison, and the Midtown Assistance Center. And then within the walls of this church, to serve as greeters and ushers and acolytes, and to serve in our growing children's ministry as teachers or volunteers. Everybody, I believe of those options that everybody in this room can do something in one of those areas. It might be preparing snacks for the children. It may be going and doing the hard work and the heavy labor at one of those places. It may be preparing some of the food that will go. I would love for you this morning, I challenge you this morning, to find at least one place on that card that you'll commit to serving in the next year. We're going to take up those cards. We're going to get your names, and then as we approach each of our times of serving, we're going to email you or we're going to call you, and we're going to ask you to commit to coming and serving. Because those whom we've promised to serve deserve our best. They deserve us to be there and to serve them with excellence and integrity. For that is what we've been called to do. In Luke 22, verse 24, similar to our previous reading, a dispute also arose among them as to which one was to be regarded the greatest. But Jesus said to them, the king of the Gentiles lorded over them, and those in authority over them are called benefactors. But not so with you. Rather, the greatest among you must become like the youngest, and the leader, the one who serves. See how this theme runs back through as we started and we talked about childlike faith? Part of learning to serve is to getting back to the humility that allows us to do so. For who is greater, the one at the table or the one who serves? Is it not the one at the table? But I am among you as one who serves. If Jesus can wash the feet of the disciples, if Jesus can heal the sick and cure the lame, if Jesus can reach down, then so can we. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our hymn of commitment this morning is hymn number 399, Take My Life and Let It Be. I invite you to finish filling out your cards as we sing this hymn. Come and bring those cards to the altar. Lay them at the feet of God. You're welcome to stay and pray for a moment, to pray over that card, to pray over your commitment, to pray for those whom we will serve. And then we will all gather together to celebrate this great day. Will you please stand as we sing?